If you knew you were enough, what would your life look like? What would love look like? This is the Enough Factor broadcast, where we're redefining what makes you enough in life and in love. Now here's your host, Suzette Birnard. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Enough Factor podcast. I'm Suzette, your life coach and relationship solutionist, helping you to find solutions for your relationships. How do I do it, you might ask? It's by amplifying your voice, your value, and your vision, what I call 3 critical factors of enoughness, so you can write your own definition of what makes you enough in life and in love. That, I found, is the true path to having a different experience of love and rebounding better, not bitter, when love takes an unexpected turn. I am elated that you've joined me today. Out of all the podcasts you could have been listening to right now, you've decided to listen to mine. That's pretty special to me. Now, with season 3, my focus has been healthy relating. And here today is a dynamic voice who empowers the most important relationship you will ever have, your relationship with yourself. Her name is FSP Enterprise Coaching and Consulting's CEO founder, Sarita Price. Sarita Robertson-Price is an author, board certified life coach, entrepreneur, motivational speaker, and a loving and supportive mom who cherishes her children. Sarita is passionate about helping professional women to become the best version of themselves through life and business coaching. With her many years of experience in learning and development, Sarita is an advocate for developing leaders and building high-performing teams. Sarita wrote and published her first book, Healing Through, and From Sarita's Pen in 2014. Sarita is co-author of an anthology, Tying the Knot Between Ministry and the Marketplace, published April 2018. Sarita also published her first white paper, Technology, Diversity, and Ethics, AI versus EQ, in June 2020. Now, that's Sarita's day job, but her soul work and passion is helping women to be their best selves. And as we talked girlfriend to girlfriend, she said to me, I know it's not proper English, but my question to women is, who you be? What a powerful question. And I can't wait to unpack it with Sarita Price. So join me in welcoming Sarita to the Enough Factor podcast. Welcome, Sarita.
Thank you, Suzette. Hello, everyone. I'm so happy to be here.
Ever since our initial conversation, I have anticipated sharing you with my listeners. The way I like to start things off, however, I kind of shake things up a little bit. And I always start my podcast episodes with a truth and dare. Now, the good news is it isn't the traditional truth or dare game. The bad news, you don't get to choose which one you're going to answer. So, are you up for the challenge?
I am always up for the challenge. Go ahead. Shoot me. Go ahead.
Right. Okay. So, my question is, what is the truth about you that your being required you to confront and dared you to live from?
What my being dared me to confront was sometime I felt like I wasn't enough. So that pushes me, and with that comes fear, right?
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing. I wasn't fearful of failure. I was fearful of success.
Mm. Now, you can't just leave that right there. You can't. You can't just drop the mic like that and then just sit right there like, Next question. You cannot do it.
So I'll elaborate just a little bit on that. When I say fear, because I knew all along, and as you stated in the beginning when you were introduced to me, I am the being person. Let's focus on your be, who you be. Mm-hmm. I knew from childhood that I was different, right? Mm-hmm. And things start going, and then the attacks start coming, and it just one thing after the other. And, I'll share a little bit more as we get into, but I knew I was different. And when it was back when I was going through a divorce, someone kind of said some things, spoke some things in my life. Mm-hmm. I knew then that even though it looked like failure, but I was always going to be on the road to success. And that success, not as I'm a star, because I'm always the kind that I remember, I don't know if you remember in Martin, they used to sing this song, Gina Martin singing in the background. I've always been I'm the singing in the background, don't put any light on me type person. I don't want to, I'm the background person, but that's not my be. That's not that's God is pushing me. So that's sometime now I have to take like, oh, things are going, they're moving, and am I enough? Yeah. And then God said, you're more than enough.
That is it. And that when you really peel back any fear, at least I believe, when you peel back any fear or any hesitation, that is the underlying question. Am I smart enough? Am I savvy enough? Am I this enough? Am I that enough? And that's why I wanted to talk with you, because that all comes from something inside. Somehow or another, somebody has deposited something in us to make us question our enoughness. And that's why I love your focus on being. Because here's the thing, Sarita, there are a lot of people out there that are trying to push people towards success, helping them get to the C-suite, doing all those kinds of things. And what I know you know as well as I is we can get them from point A to point B. But if you can't own your space once you get there.
Yes.
And that comes from your being, So tell us a little bit more about your being story, because usually when people have that kind of passion around something, they've had to first go through it. They've had to be their own test subject, so to speak. Like the universe says, you're going to be my test subject to make sure that we get this thing right. Mm-hmm. So that when you tell people about it, you've got some authority there. So could you tell us a little bit about your B story?
Sure. So many times our B story, I don't care how you dress it up, how important you look, if it has a suit tie, it comes from, the issues come from your childhood. That's 8 to 9 times out of 10. Something has happened that has affected your being as a child. Mm-hmm. So mine come from, and I'm very transparent because it's a part of my journey. That comes from me as a young, I don't know if I was even a teenager yet, of being sexually molested by a family member. Mm-hmm. So, I always thought that as most young girls, what did I do? Was it my fault? I'm young and innocent. And during that time, back then, I'm part of the Gen X generation. See, my parents was much older. They wasn't baby boomers. They were the generation before the baby boomers. They were from the silent generation. So if they would have been living, they'd have been 96 and 95. My mom, she'd have been living, she would have celebrated her 95th birthday last week.
Wow. So,
when you tell things, it's just like, back then, what goes on the home stays in the home.
Exactly.
I wasn't never given a hug, say it's going to be okay. I'm sorry. Next thing I know, the family member who was living with us, he moved out. I guess that was their way of, and for a while I was angry with them, but they only knew what they knew. They didn't know how to deal with things. That's whether one of those things was taboo. It happened a lot, but nobody ever talked about it. no one ever talked about it. So, growing up in high school, I never thought I was pretty enough. I never thought I was in a sense. I think sometimes I use my weight. I always had my weight went up and down. That was one of the issues. I felt like, that I wasn't pretty enough. I wasn't smart enough. I was, and that took that low self-esteem when it really comes down to it. Mm-hmm. So when I went to college, it got a little better. I graduated from college at the age of 20. I was 25. I met someone. We got married. I thought, I would never get married because my mom, like I said, she didn't know any better. She always talked about me about my weight and, no man's going, you need to lose weight up. And the thing is, when I think about it, I was overweight, but I wasn't like that overweight. Even if I was, that can mess with your being, that can mess with your mind. Yeah. So, fast forwarding, marriage, ended in divorce. It was a abusive marriage, mentally abusive, emotionally abusive. He didn't hit me, but the words were so sharp that sometimes, so
I feel just as bad.
Yes. So I'm still dealing with 26 and I got divorced when I was 38. I had a daughter who was beautiful. And I always said for her when I was carrying her in my womb that she is beautiful. I told her she was beautiful. She was a baby, couldn't even understand a word I was saying. But I always wanted to do for her that was not done for me, if that makes sense.
Perfect sense.
So that, getting married, having a child, going up through corporate America, I got my master's and everything, and I've been going through a divorce. I'm in corporate America single. And, I just really start paying attention to myself. And I started, I guess the turning point for me, what really changed my being, who I be, is when I joined this wonderful organization called Mary Kay. I became a Mary Kay consultant.
I've been one too. I didn't know we had this in our history. Yes.
In 2003, that one of my friends, my good friends now, she was a director. She brought me on. And Suzette, that changed the trajectory of who I start seeing myself. Let me tell you how my B was out of line. I would even wear blue jeans. I thought I didn't have the body type for it. I thought, I'm serious. You look at me, I'm serious. I wouldn't even wear blue jeans, and I wore makeup, but I started wearing really, makeup. I cut my hair, started changing my wardrobe. And, Mary Kay was one of those, it was the best free self-help course that I ever could have taken. So this started shifting me. And during that time, I accepted my call in the ministry as well. So, I really start paying attention to my being, who I was. And I never will forget, I told my first lady in my church, and it almost brought tears to her eyes when I told her this. I said, you are the first woman that ever told me that I was beautiful.
And how old were you? The first time you ever heard that, how old were you?
I don't even know. I wasn't even 30 yet. I was like 28. Yeah.
Wow.
No. I mean, I and the thing is, that's why I wanted my daughter to know the first person to ever tell her she was beautiful is her mother.
Yes.
So, and going on that journey of finding who I be, I actually start paying attention as ever in corporate America. And I was, start looking at the women that I work with. And, sometimes we as women, we can be something else, the cattiness and and so I didn't really have a lot of good relationships with women. To be honest with you, I met my first best friend my first best friend, when I went to get my master's degree in 2006, and I was 36 years old.
That is so hard to believe because you drew me in like a magnet. Just your aura is just so inviting and attractive. Wow. That speaks to how much of a transformation, though.
Yeah, I wasn't secure in myself, and I didn't have an issue with wanting to be friends with other women. It's just like, I don't know if it's just you're my friend, but then things are coming, and I'm trying to, how should I put this? I don't know if it was jealousy or envy. I didn't know who I was, but I guess they knew. But the thing is, it would always come from the heart. I sincerely want to help people. I'm your ride or die. I'm your friend. I got you. We can get mad and go off on each other. Sometimes we can cuss each other out. But then, you speak the truth and you're like, okay, girl, you want to go get some lunch now? That's the kind of friend. That's a real friend. The friend that tells you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. So being that woman and accepting my call into the ministry after I got a divorce. I've had great mentors. That's another thing that helped women be who I am. I had a mentor. She's an elder. She's out of Washington, D.C., very well known. I had my first lady, different mentors, really pouring into me and encouraging me. And then, I started looking at women overall, especially professional women. Professional Black women. And I start seeing a pattern, especially after I got a divorce and I became single. Oh, child, that's another story within itself.
Girl, that's what we need to get the wine out for that one.
So really, focusing on, and at first, when I opened it's funny how things evolve, how you grow and you evolve, things change. When I first opened in my coaching consulting business in 2015, it was just, I miss corporate America, right? That's how I started. But then it's just like, that wasn't setting well for me. My background is HR and is training and development. So really training, development, leadership coaching, business coaching, just overall, that's my background. So I started actually really getting into soft skills. If you know what the soft skills are, they're not your technical skills, they're your people skills. And I just started really paying attention to, the workplace, the marketplace, and then I had my faith, right? And I started seeing a connection between ministry and the marketplace. So, even though I come off, as a, I am in the marketplace, I call myself a marketplace apostle.
I love it.
So, with that, my faith is my foundation. And with corporate America, whatever, you have to be careful, but also respectful. I am a Christian, but I have co-workers I work with that are Hindus, Jews, Muslims, and I get along with them well. Especially women, we have a respect for each other. You don't beat them over the head with the Bible. They don't beat me over the head with the Quran or wherever it may be. But there still is that one thing that is missing. And it shows up as we were talking earlier about relationships.
That's where it shows up, girl.
If you're out of line, because we are a 3-part being. We are body, we're spirit, and we're soul. Of course, your body is, your being, who you're physical, but it's the body connects the spirit. When they connect, that's how you connect with God. And then you have your soul. Many times when your spirit is out of line with your body, it causes the shift to your soul to be out of line.
Oh, yeah.
And as women, especially professional women, that's why we have sometimes we have issues with relationships, romantic relationships, relationships at work, because we don't know who we be. We don't know who we really are.
Yeah. And, we were talking about that. And that's the thing about healthy relationships. And that's why I wanted to definitely zero in on that, especially with season 3 with the podcast, because we have this, it's like we get to the point where we're able to pick ourselves back up, dust ourselves off, achieve our dreams, go after what we're going after, achieve in a lot of areas. There are women that are running companies and that are doing great things, that are getting their seat at the table. But after all of that, even with all that success, all that achievement, all that accomplishment, the women that I talk to, with all of that, you think they got it made. Their relationships are jacked up.
Yes.
Either their current relationship is jacked up, or they are running after everything. And if I'm not talking to you, please don't throw tomatoes, people who are listening. Don't throw tomatoes at your cell phone. But a lot of times, part of the passion of going after other things is compensating.
Yes.
For not having healthy, fulfilling, satisfying relationships, whether it's relationship with yourself, relationship with your intimate partner, and they look so good on paper. And I'll say we look so good on paper. We get accolades, we get introduced from the pulpit to the door. Because I've seen many female preachers, same thing, can preach you under, but their relationships. And the sad thing is, I saw woman after woman that testified about how God is so good and how, what the Bible says, and you can't make me turn around, and would talk about all these different things, would get hooked up in relationships with men that did not measure up to what they professed. And I saw it happen over and over and over again. And one of the things that really endeared you to me is that you are a minister. And I'm going to tell you, there's not very many ministers that I know that have gone through a divorce, that have allowed themselves to tell themselves the truth and the awakening that you shared with me before we even, came here. And I said, oh my God, I found somebody else who is willing to tell the truth and who understands that God doesn't need us to lie and pretend like we aren't who we are and that we aren't struggling with the things that we struggle with. But I think the reason I brought that up is because you do minister and you have a calling to Christianity, but you also were talking about how you've learned so much about yourself in getting back out there in the dating world. And I just wanted you to be able to just talk to the listeners about that, because a lot of my listeners are faithful churchgoers. You say God is good all the time. We know all the church vernacular. We know how to do it. We know all churchdom, church culture, church-ishness. We know how to clap. We know how to double clap. We know how to two-step. We know all those things. We know how to quicken to the right, quicken to the left. We know how to fall out. We know how to do all these things that we do in church. But when it comes to our relationships with men, it's like something does not connect. So can you speak to that?
Yes. First and foremost, let me just say this. You got to walk in truth, not hypocrisy. Okay. I started this dating thing really when I got divorced in 2008. I really should have waited and healed. But I kind of got back out there about it's probably about 6 months. Whoo, child.
Not the who child.
Child. It was some of the things, I met some good guys, but let me get back before I talk about my experience about women, single women in church, right? Trying to date. First and foremost, I'm a Jesus girl all day long.
All day.
But I'm human. God knew that because he made me. God made me in his image. This is not a justification for any sin. I'm not prepping it for that, but I'm just saying, when you are dating as a Christian, and it's hard dating especially if you're a Christian woman and you've been called into the ministry. I got to the point after a while, I didn't even tell. It's not like I'm hiding. I want to see the real them. I didn't tell them that I'm a minister because I just want to see,
Mm-hmm.
And I dated some guys with good. It was started off good, but then some things start happening, and I just no. And here's the thing too. Let me help some of you single Christian women as well. Stop looking for the perfect man. He doesn't exist. First and foremost. Number two, you're not perfect. You out here looking for a 10 and you a 5.
Girl,
okay,
you better talk. Yeah.
So especially if you this good Christian corporate American woman, out there, and you looking, he got to have a suit and tie and drive a Mercedes and a BMW. And now I'm not saying lower your standards. What I'm saying is you have to be real with yourself. Did I fall when I was dating? Of course I did. Because the Bible tells us, about fornication. Yeah, I did. I'm going to be honest.
Me too, girl. For real.
One point in time, Jesus wasn't nowhere in the picture. I'm just being honest.
Girl, you better say it. Hey, I'll be in your amen section because
okay.
It's the truth. It's the truth.
It's the truth, And I was like, how Stella got a groove bag. If anybody remember that, it's the older movies of some of the millennials. They might not know anything about the movie. That's fantastic, but that's where I was. I wasn't thinking about. I was one point in time, I wouldn't even think about trying to get another husband. I was just free and being me.
Mm-hmm.
But this goes back to me finding my who I be. There was something wrong because, I still hadn't come into who I really was, because if I had, some of the things I did, I would not have done, but it's all part of the growing process. I stopped beating myself up. That's another thing. Stop beating yourself up when you fall. You're human. You're going to make mistakes. You repent, you get back up, and you keep it moving. So, and a lot of times women in a church, some of us are still bitter. We love Jesus. We shout, we jumping over pews, and you meet a man, you're so bitter or you so thirsty, you're going to run him away. If you happen to meet one, you need to heal before you try to move on to relationship, because I write a lot, but I saw this quote said, if you don't heal what hurt you, you'll bleed on people who didn't cut you. I'm going to say that one more time.
Girl,
if you don't heal what hurt you. If you don't heal what hurt you, you'll bleed on people that didn't cut you. And that's a lot of times too, women, you're bitter, you haven't healed. And there are men out there too now. I've met in my dating scene lately, I met some men who are recently divorced, and they angry talking about their ex-wife. That's all they talk about. Or if you're a woman, you talk about your ex-husband, that's a sign you don't need to be dating. You need to find who you are. You need to heal. You need to come into your being, who you really are, and become whole. Because
how did you do that, Sarita? How were you able to do that?
How I did that was really, I had good mentors, but I prayed and I read and I wrote. I journaled a lot. I shifted the people that I was dealing with. And it's funny, I didn't really, I laughed when I didn't really want to deal with the real holy people because they weren't real. That's what the authenticity wasn't. They couldn't relate. There was judgment, you're going to hell and all those. No, I got with a group of women who I wanted to be, who I looked up to. And those became the women that I talked to, the older women that mentored me and I had conversations with. So I decided, I don't care how many people you talk to, how many books you read. If you don't want to change you, if you don't want to go from being bitter to better, it's not going to happen. It's how big is your want to. I would determine that wasn't the person I wanted to be. And I know that I had a higher calling on my life because my thing is I shifted because I have a relationship with God, not religion. There's a difference, right?
Mm-hmm.
My faith kept me grounded, being around authentic other women to say, it's okay. It's going to be all right. But, Sarita, you're out of order. But I know being around constructive women that are positive and reading my word and journaling and just decide to live life unapologetically me. Mm-hmm. Just learn how to accept my flaws as well as my strengths. Mm-hmm. But focus more on my strengths than my flaws, because if you focus more on your strengths and who you are to find out your gifts, talents, and abilities, every time that's going to take care of those things, those issues. Now, do I still have some things that I am working on? Of course I do. We all do. I know my hot spots. I know what I need to. Okay, Sarita, hold up now, because I will talk to myself. I'm harder on myself than anybody else. I'll be like, girl, no, you didn't. Are you kidding me, Sarita? Really? You know better. I'm like, okay, So that's that angel, the good, so the good angel, the bad angel. But, really focusing on my relationship and learning to be human. And some of this, I'm going to be honest, Suzette, some of this really came into being just 2020 of last year, because COVID rocked the world. Mm-hmm. Still rocking the world. But let me tell you what COVID did. It made people really stop and look at some things and look at themselves and look at relationships. And you had to face yourself first and foremost. You got to learn how to face yourself. Some people so busy trying to be something they're not.
Oh, God. They are. And it makes me wonder if the reason why they're so bitter is because they are trying to be something they're not, and it's hard. And so they thought, if it's hard for me, it should be hard for you too.
Yeah. And something that you said, I just said earlier when I did a Facebook Live, is you have to love you. You cannot measure yourself according to what society thinks you should be. Especially, I know your target is professional women, Miss Corporate America, Miss CEO, VP, and Director. That's a whole different gamut within itself. That you got to be this and be that, whatever. No, that's why a lot of them, like you said, they make six figures. They got the car, they got the house, they got all these wonderful things that money can buy. But yet when they go home, they're crying and they're miserable.
Yes, or they're with somebody who just does not treat them well. I remember I used to have a summit every year called You Ask Good Men Answered. And one of the good men that I interviewed said that players target successful women. He said they target, if she's successful, she drive the BMW, she all that, they target her because they and I'm like, they target her? He said, yeah, because they know that if she spent all her energy in that, she hasn't worked on herself.
Mm-hmm.
That means they can get her. All this stuff, love, all this stuff, it does not, it's like, okay, yeah, I can get her because she hasn't been working on who she is. She's defined by all these things. She's got all these toys, all these accomplishments, and that's where her effort is being because she's neglected who she truly is. She doesn't feel like she's okay. She doesn't feel like she's enough of her own. So I can exploit that. I can exploit that because she has not done her work. And that's why I love what you do for professional women and your story, because I would dare say, Sarita, that because of your story and because you have learned grace out of your relationship with God, because you have learned grace for your humanity, that you're able to help them tap into what's most important. Because as you know from dating, what you have does not equip you to date a human being, no less a man.
Mm-mm.
That does not help you to communicate. That doesn't help you to relate intimately with a man. And I think sometimes, and I say this not to throw off on church, but I can say this because I've been in church all my life, that for a long time, part of my intimacy issue was because I had heard in church that whole thing about you're damned to go to hell if you sin, if you fornicate, if you do these things. And I was so afraid of fornication. I was so afraid of falling into immorality that I could not relax enough to even allow organic, true intimacy to even happen. Because you have to take yourself off the hook in order to connect with another person.
Mm-hmm.
You can't be all tight. Okay, no, you can't touch me. No, you can't kiss me. You can't do this because you're so afraid you're going to fall into sexual sin. My God, that was keeping me from even being able to connect. And my soul longed so much for connection. So it's like a darned if you do and darned if you don't. Your soul, God puts in you the desire for partnership, but you're so afraid you're going to sin and go to hell if you let your guard down to let somebody else touch you.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
And you said something just a few minutes ago. Intimacy and sex. Many times we put them together. There is a difference. Sexual, of course, that's the physical. Intimacy is just, you can have intimacy with someone and don't even touch them, but they touch your mind.
Mm-hmm.
Or you touch their mind.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's not explained. Well, first of all, sexism, that's a no even be talked about in church anyway. Okay. You're not going to get that.
I don't care how many singles ministries you in, because I don't know if you found this to be true. After I divorced, I couldn't fit no more. Because I don't care how much I go, Jesus, help. I'm not going to unknow what I know. If somebody done tapped all up in there twice on Sundays, I can't just come off that and just be single and just go bowling. I mean, it's like, I can't unknow what I know.
Yeah.
So I was like, God, where is that space for those of us who have experienced that kind of sexual freedom, or at least the belief that you could have it once you got married, right? And you open yourself up that way, then your marriage doesn't work. And now you're back single again, and you're supposed to act like your body is supposed to automatically line up.
Yes.
As if it has not ever been touched before. And now you're on the altar asking God to take something away from you that you don't really want him to take away from you.
It's a matter of, and this is another thing too. It's okay, especially if you and I, you're married. I've been married, and I learned this after. Of course, I wasn't married, but the sensual side of a woman, this is who she is. You can, you can still be your sensual self without having sex. And I know that may sound strange, a little taboo to some people. This is a group of ladies that I am in a group with, and we talk about sensuality and things like that. And they're like me, they Jesus girls all day long, okay? But there's a part of you that you just can't shut down. Yeah. You don't go off the edge sleeping with everybody, having sex with everybody. But there's an intimacy, and kind of watch when I say this because some people might take it the wrong way.
Oh, we'll straighten them out. Go ahead, say it, girl. Say it the way
yourself. Love yourself. Intimacy is not sex. Sensuality is not sex. It can be tied to it. Be who you be as a woman. Secure in yourself, in who you are. Heal. And I promise you, that is what attracts, don't tell no, that's a secret. That's what attracts men, ladies. A woman who knows who she is. When you said that, I'm like you, I do remember being divorced and trying to go to the Saving Single ministry, even as I tried to go again. And as I sat there and I listened, we had about 50 women, about 3 men. Of course, that's.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, why? We got more single men. Why don't they ever come to class? As I sat there a couple times, I see why. Mm-hmm. First of all, the women bash men. They were bitter. All men are dogs, even the ones in church. And I got tired of hearing that. All men are not dogs. The single men don't want to come to here and listen to that. Mm-mm. And then what really got me one Sunday with this she was a young lady. She's now married to the young man. She was dating him at the time. And she said she was having issues with fornication. Oh, good God. You would have thought that she said she shot him. Oh, you should have seen the women
clutching the pearls.
Jesus. And the reaction, I became so annoyed and so angry, Suzette. I think after that Sunday, I may have gone back once. I haven't been back since. I was like, no wonder these young girls and these young men don't come to the Saving Single class. I mean, is this how you're going to act because they say they dealing with issues with fornication? And I'm not trying to be funny, but some of the women who was clutching their pearls and rocking back and forth, it had been so long since they had been, okay, I'm going to leave that alone. I'm just being real. Leave these young people alone with your holy self. I mean, it's just, the thing is, it's really, the truth. I don't even use realism anymore. The truth. You have to be truthful about the situation.
You gotta be.
And then find a way to, you asked me, how did I deal with that? That's my journey. I'm still single. And with COVID, it's kind of hard to date, but I'm trying the online thing. I've tried that once before. And let me say, we don't have enough time because what I can say, it turned into a comedy show. So we're trying to help women. We're not trying to make them laugh. Okay.
You already got me over here laughing. Because I already know what you're talking.
I mean, it's just, amazing. And it's just, and like I say, it's as a woman, I can actually say that I'm healed and I'm whole. So there's certain questions I ask, and I don't go in just asking questions like an attorney, because that's a turn off as well. But I'm just free in myself, and I make jokes and try to build a relationship, friendship first. And sometimes men don't know how to take that. Then it's like, oh, wait, you're so different,
Mm-hmm.
But that's just, I treat them, with these pretenses, right? I don't send my representative. Sarita walks in when you meet me. This is who I be. This is who I am. I don't try to pretend to be, someone that I'm not, because at the end of the day, if we do start dating and a relationship is formed, I mean, something's going to come out anyway. So, I guess my thing is with that, I think with professional women, for so long, we've had to put a facade up in corporate America or wherever we work. You can be in healthcare industry, whatever, doctor, nurse, or whatever. We've had to put this professional, we don't know how to be ourselves and how to be free. We don't know who we be. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, you are so right. We don't know how. We've had to assume so many roles that require a masculinity in order to even survive, that when it comes to relationships, we don't know how far to the right is too far and how far to the left is too far. And so we find ourselves just going, well, okay, I'm a strong woman. Okay. But they say, okay, well, okay. All right. Well, then you shouldn't be too strong, because then men are intimidated. So then you go, okay. Then somebody else says you're too soft. Mm-hmm. And I love what you're saying about the being part, because the only way you're going to know or figure out what your just right is to dig down inside until you connect with your being.
Yes.
Because your being is not confused. Your being knows when you really connect with it. And I've learned this: when you connect with that divine, deeper truth inside of you, you don't have to ask people's permission.
Mm-mm.
And a reason why a lot of us are comparing ourselves and asking for permission and checking with this person and checking with that person is because we haven't done the work to go deep enough inside where the truth is.
Yes. We don't want to really look at the person in the mirror. And then when you look at the mirror, you still got to go deeper than just surface.
Still got to.
And like I said, it's just how big as you want to. I've actually tried to coach a couple of women, because the thing is, one thing you have to realize, and this, Suzette, everybody's not teachable, coachable, or trainable. I have women like, what, this is awesome, but I'm not going to do this. I'm just going to be honest. I'm not going to do this. And I'm like, okay, I respect it. Mm-hmm. But I'm thinking, don't expect anything to change until you dig into you, tap into who you really are. Mm-hmm. Oh my God, it's a freedom, Suzette, that I wouldn't trade anything in the world with. It's a freedom, especially now that it's okay to be me. And that's my journey, is to help other professional women, tap into, how to be great leaders and how to live with boldness and confidence and in your being. Mm-hmm. You still can be professional and whatever it may be, but just be you. And if no one can accept you, they're not for you.
They're not for you.
And I think we talked about this as well. We go looking for these men in certain standards. They have to be. You could be missing your husband and he's a mechanic. He owns his own business. And last time I checked, mechanics make real good money.
They sure do.
Or, I'm just using it for example. That's not, like I said, to lower your standards when it comes to character, not job and money.
And so many of us have those lists, and they'll say, well, I'm not going to compromise. I'm not going to compromise. But everything that you have on your list is external.
Yes.
And even if he checks off all the boxes externally, he's this tall, he has this type of job, he's making this kind of money, you know, he's a power couple. If you have all that going for you, but yet he's not kind, yet you always feel like you're second, third, or fourth on his to-do list.
Exactly.
Yet he's always at the office and you can't ever have a meal together. Yet you dated, he was paying you attention, but now that you got him, he's too busy to even pay you attention. Now you got these kids that you're pretty much raising by yourself because daddy's always working, and even when he's home, he's distracted. Even when he's home, he's not here. When was the last time you had a talk about something other than him needing you to be at this company or do this for him, or the last thing that he had to do for his job? What about the two of you? How does he handle your feelings? Do you feel supported by him? Do you feel like you have to dumb yourself down because his ego requires such 100% of your time and devotion? Is there even room in the relationship for you?
Exactly. And I'm going to piggyback on what you just said here. I'm going to watch how I say this. I've known women married to men like, beautiful home, 2-story house. I mean, all the work, whatever. And then, the marriage is after the first 2 or 3 years, you start, she may have suspected, but then later found he was having an affair. She found out who the type of woman was, and you be like, she's not Miss Corporate America. She's everyday, but reason why. I'm not justifying a man having an affair on his wife, by no means. But it should be something you can look at. She's the everyday woman. She listens to him. She talks to him. He can talk to her. There's no judgment. There's no, maybe y'all had that in the beginning of your marriage, and all of a sudden it just went away. Well, the thing is, he's an especially for African-American man, he's a Black man, whatever job he's doing, if he isn't corporate America, he got a lot to deal with. Don't forget to be a wife. Always go back to, why did I get married to? You remember the character Diane?
Yes.
And, and why did I get married? She was so busy. She was an attorney, and, and he was like, I'm just trying to spend some time with you. And even though he was not, and he just got tired of her, he was a doctor too.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm kind of help the brothers out a little bit, but women, we have to be aware that, yes, we have careers. You may have a career, you have children, you have a lot, but you have a husband. Mm-hmm. You still have to be there to listen to him and talk to him and be his friend. That's first and foremost sometimes when we mess up.
Yeah, it's almost like when we're dating, you're able to be present. But then once you get him, now you got this honey-do list. Now it's not even about you and me anymore. It's about how well you do what I have on my list. And if you don't do what I have on my list the way I want you to do it, then you're going to hear from me. Mm-hmm. And I think, when Steve Harvey said it, a lot of people got upset, but he said women have forgotten how to be women.
Yes.
And a lot of women got really upset. Necks started rolling and everything.
True.
But the truth is, honestly, and I can be honest, it's almost like I know Bridgerton is a very popular series right now. Mm-hmm. And that part in Bridgerton where she marries the Duke, where Daphne marries the Duke, and she goes home to her mother and says, you didn't tell me. You didn't tell me how to be with the man. You didn't tell me what am I supposed to do? I don't know how to be with him. You know, you taught me how to dress. You taught me how to sit. You taught me how to do all these things. But I don't know how to be with him. I don't know how to do this. And I think for a lot of us, and this is my concern, Sarita, about what we are raising in daughters now. My concern is a lot of our daughters know how to make A's in school. They know how to go to Ivy League colleges. They know how to get hired. They know how to start businesses. They know how to be articulate. They know how to speak. They know how to do all these things. But we're not teaching them how to be in a relationship with a man.
Yes.
And so then when they get older and they're ready, because, you know, we tell them, oh, don't pay those men any mind. You go ahead and you get your this and you get your that and you earn this and you do all these things. And they get good at that part. But then, sadly, these are the divorces of the future.
Yes.
And they're having them earlier. I've come across women that are millennials and are divorced. Because what looked good on paper did not translate into a relationship.
Yes.
They got the man home and didn't know what to do. So,
can I say this, Suzette? Some of the women, the mothers don't know what to do. And you know, and you're right. You're not, because even though with my daughter, she's a junior in college now, right? And like I said, I've been divorced now a little over 12 years. So she was 8 years old. I didn't really have a good relationship with her father, but excuse me. But I knew how to be a wife. I knew how to be. My marriage didn't last, and that's what I told her. Don't let what happened to mommy deter you. So, you know, she's got in college and you know, she started meeting different guys in relationships, and she's in one now that this is a good one for her. She knows I teach her how to talk to them, how to talk to men, how not to be disrespectful, how not to be needy and thirsty, as they say. Be yourself. Don't disrespect them, because that's the thing about men. Respect. We are love. We about love and romance. Men are about respect.
Yes, they are.
I said, so, you know, I teach her how to be respectful, and because I know my child, she has a mouth on her. You know, some of it she get from her mama, but is never to the point where you're disrespectful. Even in my marriage, it didn't work. One thing that my ex, and he had said, you never did disrespect me or talk disrespectful to me. So that's the key. And you're right. No one is teaching these young women about being respectful and valuing yourself and valuing your body and who you are. And, you know, first off, my daughter tell them that don't even come to me with that, because that ain't happening. No. You got to set some standards when it comes to that. And like I say, know how to talk to it. And most of the young men, you know, they kind of like her. I call them an old soul, because that's what my daughter is, an old soul. She really is. She's 20, soon to be 21, 40-year-old mindset with a 21-year-old body. But it's because I talk to her and tell us that you that, you know, especially if you meet someone decent, even if you do, you know, the young men, they're not accustomed to women like her, young ladies like her these days. They're used to getting what they want and moving on, and, you know, it is what it is. Yeah.
Pain can make you feel like men owe you for what the previous man didn't do.
Yes.
And unless you get down to that being underneath that pain, it's going to continue to run you. and keep you from experiencing the very, very thing that your heart longs for.
Yes.
That's my takeaway. Now, what's your takeaway, Sarita, that you want the listeners to have from our conversation?
First thing, the main thing that I want the listeners to have from my conversation, and I've repeated it time and time again, work on you, healing you. Even though you think you got it going on, you're fine. If things keep coming up with a relationship after bad relationship after bad relationship, there's a common denominator here. It's you don't know who you really are. Like you said, I love that. All that facade, all that is hiding the be who you are. And then I didn't say this, but sometimes we try to run from who we are, our being, because it does not fit with what people think we should be. But you have to find out, get to who you are, because like I say, you'll become comfortable in your skin, and it's a freedom. Oh my God, you're just so free. And Suzette, she's told me her story. That's when she met her husband.
That is true. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it takes a lot of work, inner work. And we think that I need to learn more and more about me and learn. And sure, there's a place for that. But you're not even going to really adequately learn who men are on men's terms if you can not accept yourself on yours.
Yes. Yes.
Until you figure out who you be, you don't have a shot understanding men.
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't have the bandwidth or the capacity to accept the fluidity of people being who they are, and understanding that you don't want somebody just like you. You want somebody that complements you.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. And you want somebody who's just like you, or somebody like somebody that you've seen, that you think that's a good thing, but you don't know what that woman had to become in order to get that kind of man. You don't know. So Sarita, tell them how to get in contact with you. We'll have the links and everything in the show notes, but please tell them how to get in contact with you.
Well, I am on almost every social media platform. It's from Sarita's Pen, is pretty much all of them. But I do have a website, personal website. Is from Sarita's Pen. It's FROMSARITASPEN.com. So you can find me LinkedIn. That's how I met Suzette. I'm very active on LinkedIn. But if you can you can, like I say, I'm on every social media platform. Probably there is.
Also, you told me about some women's groups too, that you found such a sense of community with like-minded women. Are those like private groups, or are those groups that our listeners could look up?
Well, one of them is a private group. But I've also connected with a couple of, I'll just take this. I've connected with a couple of women's group in my professional women group on LinkedIn as well, like HR girlfriends. Yeah.
I just appreciate you so much, Sarita. It is so refreshing to meet a Jesus girl who understands the grace and the love that God has for her, and experiencing the freedom of that. Oh my God, it's so wonderful. And I'm so grateful that you took time out of your busy day to talk to the listeners.
It was my pleasure. And Suzette, also to what you are doing, it's a ministry, it's a business, but it's a ministry as well. It's going to help shift and change so many women's lives. The ones who truly want to be married again or want to be in a relationship, they connect with you. It's going to happen if they do the work. So thank you for this opportunity, and what you do is awesome. Oh, and that reminds me, I just thought about the group, the one I was connect you with. Is called the Wife University.
Mm-hmm.
Her name is Kimberly Cleveland. She may have connected with you. She actually has a whole, and she's blowing up. She actually has a whole, it's called the Wife University.
I'm going to have to check it out.
Yeah.
Love it. Thank you so much, my beautiful.
You're welcome.
And listeners, you know the way I like to leave it. Just remember, just in case nobody's ever told you, or they haven't told you today, I want you to know you're worthy, you're worth it. You are more than enough. Bye now.
Bye-bye.
You have just listened to the Enough Factor podcast with your host, Suzette Vernon. To get notified of new episodes or to dig deeper into today's topic, become a subscriber. And while you're at it, tell us how we're doing and what topics you're interested in. We appreciate your feedback and your reviews. Until next time, remember, you are worthy, you are worth it, you are enough.